Hello and welcome to Super Pants Gaming. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode 10 of Mission 360. So today I'm supposed to be showing you guys the entire collection that I've built for the Xbox 360 over the last decade. However, while we were filming the collection, which I've done in a sort of slightly different manner to how you may expect, in a sort of Super Pants style, if you like, we got about halfway through and my sensible adult turned to me and said, "You do know this is getting very long, right?" And I was like, I suppose it probably is. So I've decided to cut this into two. So this is episode 10 of Mission 360, as I've said. This is basically going to be, I think it's A to I, and then exactly a week later, on the next Wednesday, I'm going to upload J to Z. Okay, so it's going to be a sort of two-parter look at my collection type thing, because otherwise it's just going to be too long and yeah, not great. So yes, with that said, let's go and take a little look at my Xbox 360 collection, starting right at the beginning. So here we are with the first 10 games. I'm hoping you guys like the format that I've chosen to do this in. I kind of figured that it would be better than me sitting down and holding up each game individually. So we're going to do them 10 at a time at the table. I'm just going to talk very briefly through them before we go on to the next 10. And just go through like that. So nice and sort of chill, you know. So yeah, starting off, we're going to start with a couple of the 007 games. We've got Legends there, which I played a bit of. I can't really remember. I played it a few years back. I don't think it exactly blew me away. And Quantum of Solace, which I got in a charity shop, which I haven't actually played yet. Moving on, Ace Combat 6. I love the Ace Combat games. And Ace Combat Assault Horizon. Assault Horizon has got a nice soundtrack with it. And as you know, I absolutely love my soundtracks. So I don't know why they didn't double spindle this game, unless someone's case swapped it at some point. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. And at the end, we've got Adventure Time, which is a game that we picked up at a car boot, which my sensible adult took a bit of a fancy to, but we haven't actually played it yet. Similar story for Afro Samurai. That was £1 at a car boot a few years back. I've not played it, unfortunately, although I really want to play it. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. I quite like Samuel L. Jackson, so I think that'll be a decent game. So yes. And then we've got Alan Wake. Now, this is my special limited collector's edition, which I've shown you a couple of times before, so I'm not going to show you properly now. But I absolutely love this. This is sort of one of my sort of favourite collector's bits in my whole sort of collection, to be honest. And then Alice, Madness Returns. Absolutely brilliant game. Kind of 3D platformer, sort of borderline horror, sort of... Yeah, just brilliant game. So if you've not played that, definitely give that a look. And moving on, we've then got my first steelbook of the collection, which is Aliens vs Predator, which, as you can see, is in like a baggie. Now, I do this with my steelbooks because otherwise I find a lot of time when you pick your steelbooks out, they tend to sort of shoot out the end, and no one wants to be sort of sliding their steelbooks onto the floor. So if you put them in a little bag, just stops that happening. It also helps to keep the sort of the sleeve nice and sort of scratch free anyway. So yes, there you go. And right at the end, we've got Alpha Protocol, which is a game that I paid a couple of quid for at, I believe it was the Milton Keynes Gaming Market, which sadly I haven't managed to get around to playing yet, but hopefully I will at some point in the future. Okay, so moving on to the next 10. So yes, next up we've got a couple of absolute bangers. That's Akai Katana, which is one of my favourite bullet hell shooters of all time. Absolutely love it. It's one of the cave shooters. You'll see a couple more of those come in a little bit later in this. And then Amped 3. Now, I covered this in a review recently, and it's absolutely amazing. I totally love it. So, moving on, Anarchy Reigns. I played a little bit of that. It's alright. Angry Birds, you guys, you know what Angry Birds are. And then this is my first sealed game, which is Arcania Gothic, which, as you can see, probably not if I hold it off camera. And I put these in bags as well. Basically, I've got the knack of sort of nicking them and sort of making them unsealed. So anything in a bag is either a steelbook, or it's got a slipcover, or it's sealed. So yes, so that's the first sealed game coming up there. So yep. So can't really tell you much about that because I obviously haven't played it. And then we go into the Assassin's Creeds. So Assassin's Creed 1, that would be my original one that I actually got with the system. That's one of the games that got me back into gaming, so that's got a very sort of special place in my heart. And then we've got 2, Brotherhood, 3 and Revelations. And we'll move on to the next 10. Spoilers, I think we're going to be starting with Assassin's Creed. as I promised, we've got a couple of Assassin's Creeds. The first one's Revelations, and we've got Black Flag. Revelations is actually one of my sealed promo games. I've got a few of these, as you will see. And then A-Train HX, quite a weird game really, one you don't really see around very often. Sort of building sort of trains and towns and stuff. A little bit hard to explain, you'd sort of have to look it up I think, or unless you already know what it's about. But yeah, certainly one of my more obscure titles I would say on the 360. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, you guys saw that come in a multi-buy thing that I did on eBay. And then we've got Batman Arkham City, which is a steelbook. I'm just going to show you the back of that, because I know they've got different backs. So if any of you were at all wondering what back it is, there you go. And then Batman Arkham Origins, I've also got Arkham Asylum on the PS3. I didn't really want to double dip on it. I must be totally honest, I'm not the biggest Batman fan, so yeah. Battle Fantasia, I did have 2 copies of this, very much like a couple of the other games, but I sold off one when the price went sort of absolutely mental on it, so yeah, and just kept that one. Battle vs Chess, another one that I don't see around very often, to be honest. And I'll be totally honest, I like chess. It's a good game, but I like my chess to be kind of simple, so you can just sort of read the board really easily. And I find when you make chess a bit more flowery and the pieces are sort of really ornate, it kind of detracts from the sort of simplicity of the game itself, sort of thing. So I kind of find it like chess, but not quite as good, if that sort of makes sense. Bayonetta, everyone knows Bayonetta, and Beautiful Katamari. I absolutely love Katamari games, so yes, there you go. Okay, so next up we have Beowulf. I haven't actually played it yet. It came in a bundle of games that I got at a car boot. I know it's not supposed to be very good, but I'll definitely give it a chance, and fingers crossed it's actually alright. Binary Domain, one of the games that was part of Mission 360. I haven't played it yet. Exactly the same for Bionic Commando. They're 2 that I really need to get into, 2 that I'm really looking forward to. You can see Bioshock there, and yes, I have the Steelbook and I have my original version too. Now my original version, Bioshock was one of the games that sort of got me back into gaming very much with Assassin's Creed, so I've kind of kept that for sort of nostalgia's sake, and then I picked the Steelbook up a little while ago. So another thing, any Steelbook that doesn't have a slipcover sort of thing, I tend to put in one of these plastic cases. I don't know if you guys can make that out. But yeah, it just sort of gives it its own sort of slipcover and sort of protects it a little bit better than normal baggie would. So yeah, there you go. And then moving down here, now I don't have much of an excuse for this, to be totally honest. I have 2 copies of Bioshock 2. However, this one is sealed. So, or sort of most of the way sealed. It's had one of those security tags in it. But yes, so that's a sealed copy, and this is like my original copy sort of thing. I haven't finished playing Bioshock 2 yet. When I finish it, I will probably get rid of the open copy and keep the sealed copy, basically. And then we're moving on. We've got Bioshock Infinite. Awesome game. Love Bioshock Infinite. Bladestorm, haven't played it yet. Blaze Blue, Calamity Trigger. Fighting game, it's alright. I don't mind Blaze Blue. Yeah, probably not my favourite, but definitely not the worst fighting game in the world. Blazing Angels next, an aerial combat game. Probably not the first one that I'd likely pull off the shelf, but still not a bad game. Blood Bowl, a little bit sort of like combat-y, American football-y sort of strategy type thing. Really like Blood Bowl, like that sort of stuff. And Blood Drive. Now, I'll be totally honest, I know a lot of people really like this. I struggled to get into it. I'm really not sure about it, to be honest, but I've kept it for now. I'm going to give it another chance. So I think that came from a car boot as well, so a few years back now. But yes, that definitely needs another outing, and I'll sort of see how I feel about it then. And Bloodstone 007. I'm never sure whether to file that under B or file it under 007. So yes, there you go. But yes, here it is under B. So make of that what you will, because the others were under 007. But hey, actually a pretty good game. Played a good chunk of that, and yeah, really quite like it. Blue Dragon. That's RPG on the system, and I'll be totally honest, I kind of thought the Xbox 360 was a little bit starved of sort of decent RPGs. Blue Dragon is okay. It's not my favourite, but it's certainly not a bad game, so pleased to have it in the collection. Blur, an absolutely brilliant combat racing game. Absolutely love it. And then moving on to Borderlands. That's Borderlands Game of the Year edition. That's actually a sealed one. You can see it's in a baggie. So that'll probably be staying sealed, because I think I've got Borderlands on the PlayStation 3 now as well, and I think I may own it digitally. And then I've got Borderlands 2 and Borderlands pre-sequel. I didn't hate pre-sequel as much as a lot of other people. I know a lot of people didn't really like the pre-sequel, but I don't know, I quite liked it. I thought it was alright. And Brutal Legend, a game that I've not actually played a lot of, but my sense about it was actually played like most of it, I think, and she really, really enjoyed it. That's critical acclaim from the Sensible Adult, so it must be a good game. So, as you may not have noticed, I got slightly out of order there, but that was so that I could put the Brothers in Arms games next to each other. As you can see, I've got the Steelbook there, and I've also got a sealed promotional copy. And it's one of those, for the time being, I'm going to keep both copies because I'm not quite sure which one to get rid of, but I'm quite happy to have them both in my collection, so they'll probably both stay, to be honest. Moving along, I've got Bulletstorm. Now, I absolutely adored that game when it came out. Absolutely massively over-the-top shooter. Absolutely loved it. So, yeah, there you go. And then the Bureau. That's the one that's got a bit of a sort of weird slipcover over it. So, yeah, quite like that. And then another game that I'm always conflicted about where to put it, and it's because it's like a sort of double game. It's Burnout Paradise Ultimate Box and Trivial Pursuit. So yes, I filed it under B because, to be totally honest, I'm more likely to play Burnout Paradise than I am to play Trivial Pursuit. And keeping with Burnout, we've got Burnout Revenge just here. And then we're moving into Call of Duty. Now, on the Xbox 360, I opted just to keep the Modern Warfare games. So I've got basically Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. And then I've got a lot of other Call of Duty games on the PlayStation consoles. So yeah, I do still have sort of copies of most of them. And then moving on, we've got the first game there, Call of Juarez. And sticking with Call of Juarez, we've got Bound in Blood, and then we've got the Cartel. And again, I've got another sealed promotional copy for that. And moving on from there, we've got Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. You guys might remember that I picked number 2 up. I was really, really pleased to get a copy from Milton Keynes Gaming Market, so yes. And then another quite strange game, we've got Catherine. If you've not seen this or played any of this, definitely give it a little look. It's a very interesting game, a little bit different to sort of anything else that I've sort of played, to be honest. So yeah, there you go. Chrome Hounds, I don't know why, but a few years ago I picked up several copies of that because I kept thinking I didn't have it and I wanted to play it, and then I think I ended up with about 4 copies in the end. I was like, mental note, stop buying copies of Chrome Hounds. Moving on, Civilization Revolution. It's one of my favourite Civilization games. I just think it really works. It really works on 360 and I absolutely love it. And I've commented before, that's the game, I can't 100% it because I can't get one of the historical people to turn up. That's the only thing that I need to 100% the game. But yeah, there you go. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I think that was a late night purchase on eBay when I'd missed a load of other games. I was like, oh, it's only £3, I'll have that. Yeah, haven't played it yet, so, but yeah, it'll probably be quite good fun, to be honest. So yeah, I will definitely give it a go. And then we're moving on to Command & Conquer. So that's Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath. Sticking with Command & Conquer, we've then got Command & Conquer Red Alert 3 and Command & Conquer 3 Tiberian Wars. I love all the Command & Conquer games, always have, sort of my sort of cup of tea, if you like, so yes. Moving on, I've got Condemned. I didn't bother picking Condemned 2 up because I already own it on PlayStation 3, and I don't really want to double dip on them, to be honest, because, you know, yeah. And Crash Time 3. I picked that up cheap a little while ago, and to be totally honest, it's alright, but it's not good enough to make me want the other games. I was tempted to sort of get the Crash Time games like when they were quite a bit cheaper than they are now, to be honest. So quite surprised how sort of expensive some of those have got. But yeah, 3's decent, but it's not decent enough that I really need to play the others. Moving on, Crysis 2, one of my favourite shooters of all time. I absolutely love Crysis 2. And I absolutely love Crysis 3, but I think I probably prefer 2 out of the 2. But yes. CSI Hard Evidence, we haven't actually played that yet. I think that came from a charity shop. And we'll probably play through that, and then it'll probably get sent back to the charity shop, I imagine. The Cursed Crusade, I haven't played that either. Dark is another sealed game, so obviously I haven't played that. And then we're moving on to The Darkness, which was a very good game, but I only played a little bit of it. Yeah, so we've got Darkness 2, that's still sealed, so I'm basically waiting to finish the first game before I open that and play that. And then we've got Darksiders 1 and 2 there. Darksiders are pretty good, kind of enjoyed them. So yes, Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition there. I'm not the biggest Souls fan, to be totally honest, sort of take them or leave them. Not bothered either way. I've not fully completed that, in all honesty, but I will probably go back at some point and go through it again. Darkstar 1, now I remember that being really, really good. Sort of, yeah, really enjoyed it. I kind of like my sort of sci-fi sort of spaceship games, if you like. So yeah, make of that what you will. Dead Island Game of the Year edition. I really like Dead Island, the original Dead Island. Yeah, thought it was a quality game. I kind of wish it wasn't in the Grey Classics case sort of thing though. But yeah, yeah, small things. Deadly Premonition, still haven't played it. Mad pleased to have got that, and I really want to be giving that a go at some point because I think that will be properly my sort of thing. Dead or Alive 4 and Dead or Alive Extreme 2. Yeah, there you go. And then right at the end, we've got another sealed promotional copy, which is Deadpool this time, which I also own on PS3, so I was a bit borderline on whether to keep that one, but it's stayed for now. Yeah, so we've got a great big table of Dead there by the looks of it. So yes, starting off we've got Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising Off the Record. Dead Rising 2, you guys may remember I got in a trade with another YouTuber, TechTucker, back when I sort of started my channel roughly the end of April last year, I believe it was. So that's still sealed, so it's in a baggie, which is awesome. And then moving on, we've got Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. Again, I've got a sealed copy of Dead Space 3 here. So what I'll probably do is play this copy of Dead Space 3. Once I've finished it, get rid of that and just keep the sealed copy. And then Dead to Rights Retribution. I remember that being pretty good, but I've not played it for a few years. I really need to get back to that. And Death Smiles, another amazing cave shooter. So yeah, there you go. Rising Star Games. Look for that, people. Yes. And Deus Ex. What can I say about Deus Ex? All the Deus Ex games are awesome. Yeah, so now we move on to Devil May Cry, and I've got the Devil May Cry HD collection here, which is Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3, and then I've got Devil May Cry 4 here in Steelbook, and I think I bought this from a car boot or somewhere for about £1, and you can see it's a little bit tatty on the top, but it's only really the sleeve that's tatty. Inside the Steelbook's actually in really nice nick, which is a nice thing. So yeah, mad pleased to have that. Diablo 3 I didn't really vibe with when I played it, but I want to give it another chance. Moving on to the Dirt games, Dirt 2, Dirt 3 and Dirt Showdown, which to be totally honest I think are my favourite 3 Dirt games. Dishonored Special Edition, this I believe was sort of like a Christmas present to myself. It's got like a tarot deck and stuff in it, so back in the day, ages and ages ago, but that's a really cool special edition. It is open, although I've opened it carefully, so I've kept most of the sort of cellophane on it. I've only sort of opened the top, so yeah. There you go, which is a bit dusty. Terrible. And then moving on, that's probably the most expensive game in my Xbox 360 collection. That's Dodonpachi Resurrection. So, and as you can see, I've put this into one of those plastic cases because this is still sealed. And I put games in plastic cases when they sort of reach a price point. And if they get to sort of £70 or £80, they kind of earn a plastic case sort of thing. So it just sort of keeps them a little bit nicer, makes them look a little bit nicer. But with this being sealed, I sort of deemed it to be worth that sort of value. So it's had its plastic case, and yeah, there you go. I have played Dodonpachi in the past, just not this copy of it, and yeah, excellent. Another cave shooter, basically. So yeah, all the cave shooters are awesome. So in my opinion, anyway. So moving on, Dragon's Dogma. I've not played that for a while, but yeah, that's a relatively decent game. And Driver San Francisco, that's an awesome game that I need to get back to. So yeah, if you've not played Driver San Francisco, definitely give it a look. Look that up, because yeah, that is not one to be missed. Moving on, we've got Dungeon Siege 3, which is a game that me and my sensible adult used to play couch co-op. So yes, a strong recommend if you want couch co-op game. That game is actually really decent for that. So yeah. Then Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires and Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires. And then for my main Dynasty Warriors fix, I went for Dynasty Warriors Gundam, and I've got Gundam 1, Gundam 2, and Gundam 3. And I love a bit of Gundam, basically. So yeah, I've actually got a Gunpla to do at the moment, so which I'm sure none of you guys care about. So there you go. Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon. Played a little bit of this. It's okay. It's kind of a bit mindless, a bit silly. Yeah, didn't really like it enough to really want to sort of chase down the others. So, but it's not terrible, so it's stayed for now. El Shaddai, that's an awesome game. Really sort of stylistic and just a little bit different to sort of most other games. But yeah, sort of action adventure type thing. That's definitely worth a look as well. Eternal Sonata, I covered that in a quick 6 fairly recently, a couple of months or so back. And yeah, not a bad JRPG. And Enchanted Arms. Now I know that got a lot of hate when it came out. I absolutely loved that. I 100%ed that. I think that's an absolutely amazing JRPG, especially for a system that doesn't have many JRPGs on it. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, absolutely brilliant action adventure game. So definitely check that out if you've not heard of it. Yeah. The Evil Within, to be totally honest, I've never played it. Fable Anniversary, I love the Fable games. Fable 2, that's the game of the year. Fable 2, for me, is probably in my sort of top 20-30 games of all time. I absolutely adore the game, so I had to have the Game of the Year edition. I've recently just got rid of my original Fable game, so yeah. And Fable 3, not so great, to be totally honest. Falling Skies. Now I know that got a lot of hate when it came out as well, with it being sort of like a TV show sort of tie-in type thing. But it's kind of a bit like XCOM Lite, if you like, and it works really well. It's actually a pretty good game, to be totally honest. So yeah, if you're into sort of XCOM and those sort of games, definitely give Falling Skies a little bit of a look. And if you give it a chance, I think you'll be surprised. It's nowhere near as bad as everyone sort of made it sound when it came out. And then Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I absolutely love New Vegas, and I don't know why it's still got the sticker on it. And yeah, that would have been from HMV back in the day, and that that will be my original copy that I paid 40 quid for in HMV. So yeah, there you go. So maybe it's good that it's got the sticker on it. And then we've got Far Cry 2, which is a steelbook with a little bit of a dodgy sleeve, to be totally honest. But apart from that, the steelbook itself's in really nice condition. So, and Far Cry 3, which I think is probably my favourite Far Cry 3 out of all the ones that I've played so far. So, which I think is all of them apart from 5, which I recently acquired. Okay, so a mildly dubious top row here, if I'm totally honest. Fast and Furious Showdown recently appeared in one of my Quick 6 videos, and it's kind of rubbish, so that may well be leaving my collection soon. And then I've got FIFA 14 and FIFA 15 steelbooks. I don't mind having a couple of FIFAs in the collection, because I do play FIFA now and again. I always joke about all the FIFAs that I see in charity shops, but at the end of the day, I do really like FIFA, so yeah. FIFA Street and FIFA Street 3, I also like FIFA Street, obviously, so yeah, there you go. So I'm a bit of a football fan, but you know, that's a different life aside from the gaming sort of thing. And yeah, Fight Night Champion. That's my favourite Fight Night game, so that's the one that stayed. I got rid of the others. Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2. I haven't fully finished 13 yet, so 13-2 is actually still sealed, and that I'll be moving on to 13-2 after finishing 13, basically. Flat Out Ultimate Carnage. I love a bit of combat racing, and that, yeah, I don't know, I absolutely love that game. Football Manager 2008. Again, I love a bit of football, so a bit of Football Manager, all the same. I don't actually have LMA on the Xbox 360. I have that on a couple of other consoles. So yeah, so I figured I may as well keep Football Manager 2008. So moving on to the Forzas now, we have Forza Horizon 2, which you guys would have seen me pick up at a charity shop recently. Really like Horizon 2. Wasn't that fussed on 1, to be totally honest. I haven't got that, haven't kept hold of that. And then Forza Motorsport 2, 3 and 4. I think 4 is probably my favourite ever, followed I reckon maybe by 3. So yeah, there you go. And then Fracture at the end. I've not actually played that, to be honest. I think I got that in a bundle a while ago. And yeah, so I can't really comment too much on that. Front Mission Evolved. I don't know if you guys remember, that was like the CEX fail that we had sort of thing, where they sent me another copy of it sort of thing. So yeah, that's actually a really good game. Really quite enjoyed the bit of it I've played, but I'm only probably about a third of the way through it, so I definitely need to get back to that as well. I'm saying that quite a lot, I'm sure. Full Auto, that was another combat racing game, and yeah, really decent. I think I prefer that to its sequel as well, because after getting that and really enjoying it, I bought its sequel on the PS3, and to be totally honest, I think this one's better, so yeah. Fusion Frenzy 2, that's kind of like party type games. I don't know. It's just a bit different to everything else in the collection, so I sort of decided to keep it. I don't think it's got any value or anything, so yeah, I figured, why not? And then moving on, all the Gears of War games, I own them digitally, basically. So I wasn't totally bothered about sort of picking them up. But I did pick up Gears of War 3 Steelbook recently, or last year sometime, at a car boot, I believe. And then that Gears of War Judgment on the end is sealed. So that'll probably stay sealed, to be totally honest, because like I said, I own them all digitally. So yeah. Okay, so here we have Ghostbusters, the video game. I've played this with a Sensible Adult before. It's actually quite good fun. And then I've got Ghost Recon Future Soldier, which is another sealed promotional. So yeah, that'll probably stay sealed. I never know whether to file that under G or file it under T for Tom Clancy, but I've gone with filing it under G for now. So yeah, feel free to tell me down below in the comments whether that's correct or whether I'm a complete tool and it should be under T. Godfather 2. So I've not actually played that, to be totally honest. I think that was a quid from a car boot. And Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, and episodes from Liberty Cities. I'm not the biggest GTA fan, to be totally honest, so I think my favourite is San Andreas, or the original. I really like the original, or the first couple, to be honest, so the PS1 games. Yeah, and San Andreas. But yeah, I like them, so, you know, I will definitely play through them again. Grey Matter. So I only played a little bit of that. I can't really remember it, to be totally honest. Sort of, I think it was a bit sort of point and clicky adventure-y type thing. But yeah, one I don't see around very much. Same for Guilty Gear 2, to be honest. So that's not really Guilty Gear in the sort of the nature of how you expect Guilty Gear to be. That's kind of a little bit more like Dynasty Warriors, that one. But yeah, still, that's an awesome game. So yeah, that'll be staying. I think Sensible Adult got me that a little while ago, so a few years back. Guitar Hero World Tour. It's the only Guitar Hero I've got game that I've got on the 360. I'm not that big into Guitar Hero. I get the itch for it now and again and just sort of whip that out and play it, but I don't know. I like it now and again. Not enough to really want the other games though. And then at the end, last but certainly not least for this one, we've got Halo 3, and that's like the special collector's edition or whatever it's called, which is a big fat chunky steelbook, so as you can see. And then sticking with Halo, we've got Halo 3 ODST, Halo 4, Halo Reach, and Halo Wars. So yeah, Hitman Absolution. Really enjoyed that when it came out. I think that's one that I've actually had from new. And Homefront, I really liked Homefront when it came out as well. And I don't think anyone really sort of got on too well with it. But yeah, I thought that was a really sort of decent alternative to sort of the Call of Duties and Battlefields at the time. And yeah, I really quite enjoyed that. I even quite liked it online. But I think the online in it died quite quickly, unfortunately. And then we've got Il Tu Stormovic, which I can't pronounce properly. Which is actually a really good sort of dogfighty sort of plane aerial combat game is what I'm trying to say, I think. Infinite Undiscovery. I've played that a couple of times and never quite gelled with it, but I get the feeling that if I keep going back to it, I will at some point really like it. So yeah. Inversion. Only played the beginning bit of that, to be totally honest. That was part of Mission 360 quite a while ago, and that's one that I need to go back to. And then at the end, we've got another sealed copy, sealed promotional copy, which is Iron Man. Yeah, so that seemed like a relatively decent place to stop for this episode. I'd like to say thank you guys so much for being here. Episode 11 will be out in exactly a week's time, basically the following Wednesday to this, which I think is something along the lines of the 22nd. So yes, I've already filmed it all. It's already sort of there, waiting to go. But I just sort of figured sort of do it over two because, yeah, made a bit more sense than putting up this great big monster ending to it. So yes, there you go. So this thing goes to 11. Yeah, see if you know what that's from. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, guys. Remember that you're awesome. I've been Soup, and hopefully I'll see you in the last one next week in episode 11. Goodbye.